The seat for anybody?
I said,
How are you? Good, how are you?
is this seat taken?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Sure, okay, thank you. Which one? Oh, yeah, I did, yeah. I didn't have a chance to like, homework.
Yeah, she couldn't find it.
Right, right.
How are you? Did you go down?
About that.
Did you go down?
No. Yeah, no, I don't think I do, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to come, but this is Saturday.
When's the last time you were in a public hearing? You familiar? This person's gonna be here now. This would be a good time.
Are you setting up?
Yeah, I pop over there. You can, yeah. We can pull one over for you. Or I'll pull one over.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'll
Yeah.
give you the.
You're okay. Well, she
Well,
got-
they were yesterday in the market from the, it's like, oh, just look at the green. Well, there's enough. Oh, yeah.
It hasn't been revamped since like the beginning of time, so it's referring to like animals that are extinct, yeah. Woolly mammoths and all sorts of things. She,
Yeah, she's there.
All right, at this time, I will call the meeting to order, and I'd like to ask Councilwoman Moen to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions to the agenda from board members? No? All right, then accept the agenda as posted. Are there any conflicts of interest with any of the agenda items that any of the board members have? None? All right. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on local law number 5, a local law relating to the control, confining, and leashing of dogs. We will wait a few minutes before we start having comments on that in order to make sure everyone who plans on attending has an opportunity to enter. So we will handle the financial matters first. We have vouchers which were audited in the workshop session prior to the board meeting. We had general fund vouchers 558 to 585, totaling $27,833.88. Highway fund vouchers 380 to 393, totaling $156,011.23. Coastal water vouchers 50 to 54, totaling $3,837.13. And coastal light voucher number 6 for $171.89. Are there any questions regarding these vouchers? Okay, I've got a motion. I have a second. Okay. Okay, a motion and a second to approve the vouchers for payment. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have transfers within accounts. Transferring from contingency account $5,719.62, with funds going to justices contractual $386.61, supervisor contractual $29.52, central printing and mailing for $81.92, and unallocated insurance $5,221.78. Can I get a motion to approve the transfer? I have a motion, may I have a second? A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. At this time, we will hear comments. Open the floor for comments. We will first limit the comment period to about 3 minutes per person to make sure everyone has an opportunity to speak. And when you are called upon to speak, if you would please give your name, so we can make sure we have record of that. And I don't know if anyone has signed, there's a signing sheet in the back as well, if you'd like to put your name down on that, so we have record for the minutes. I would like at this time to ask the county dog or animal control officer, Jessica Goodell. She has reviewed this law and compared it with other laws that are existing in other towns in Wyoming County, the various components of our proposed law and how they compare, and I'll turn the floor over to you. Sure. The next one.
So my name is Jessica Goodell. I've been the dog control officer in Wyoming County since 1997, so I'm almost 30 years doing the work. And I did bring in some stuff that I thought maybe would help so we can understand a little bit about the differences between what my job is and what maybe a zoning would be, or some of the other laws. So I'm going to just give you some statistics for Wyoming County. You have a running at large law already in the town of Bennington that was established long ago. 2001 was the running at large law, which basically says your dog can be free on your own property. If it leaves the property and becomes a problem, and someone calls it in, we address it and say, hey, your dog's bothering your neighbor. We do a warning ticket, check on a license when we go, present. Our office is available to talk more, see if it resolves itself. If it doesn't resolve itself, then we end up being able to use the law with a first-time ticket. And usually, I've never done a ticket in the town of Bennington for running at large. Usually, people don't know that their dog is bothering anybody until I knock on their door and say, you know, when Myrtle leaves your property and goes 3 doors down, she's bothering these people and they've left the property. Usually that's all it takes, because people do love their animals. They don't want them to be a problem, so it ends up taking care of itself, which is perfect. So in the town, in Wyoming County, Attica has a running at large, Bennington, Castile, Covington, Eagle, Gainesville, Genesee Falls, Java, Middlebury, Perry, Pike, Warsaw. In my 30 years, I think they've only taken 3 people to court on running at large. Once people know their dogs are a problem, they just don't want it to be. Working on the law and trying to establish the same law are the town of Orangeville. I just met with them because they want to have that, because they've had dogs get involved with chickens. They don't want them to be deemed dangerous. They just want them to be kept home. And Wethersfield, possibly this fall, is going to pass that law. In Arcade, I meet with them in 2026. They'd like to go over their law. And the town of Arcade, the village of Arcade, has a leash law. So those are just some things I wanted you to know. Barking laws, the town of Attica has probably one of the strictest and longest barking law there is. Eagle, Gainesville, Middlebury, and Pike. Village barking laws, Arcade, Warsaw, and Wyoming. Those are villages in the town, they have those. Special use permits, as far as dog owners having a certain amount of numbers of dogs. Arcade in the village says you can only have 3 dogs without a special use permit. Doesn't mean you can't have more than 3. None of these laws mean you can't have more than 3. You just have to make sure that you're fitting the zoning law, the special use permit, and you are compatible. You're doing what that special use permit is asking. The town of Gainesville, in the village, you can't have more than 3 without a special use permit. Outside of the town of Gainesville, you can't have more than 5 without a special use permit. Town of Warsaw, the entire town of Warsaw, you can't have more than 6 without a special use permit. And I've never heard of any of them telling you they can't keep their dogs. Usually they say, I didn't realize I needed to have this, or most people, if you're dog owners, you all are pretty good about knowing what your dog needs and doesn't need, so you're careful with them. I did do a little bit of research also with Egg and Markets before I came tonight. So a lot of people think if a dog's been deemed dangerous outside of New York, that if it moves to New York, it's still considered a dangerous dog. And I want to clarify what Egg and Markets has as of today. Now, whether that changes, there's a lot of new changes going on, but none of them that I can see are going to change this. I'm going to read it to you. My question to Egg and Markets was, if a dog is deemed dangerous by a judge outside of New York State, is it still dangerous in New York State? The answer is no. A dog declared dangerous by a judge in another state is not automatically considered dangerous in the state of New York. New York has its own specific laws and procedures declaring a dog a dangerous dog. So in case that's an issue, and people, and I have had some calls, if their dog has been deemed dangerous outside of New York State, because it moves here, it doesn't automatically make it a dangerous dog here. Okay? And I have a little bit more on how the reporting and stuff goes. Another one is, do nonprofits have to license dogs in New York State? The answer is yes. Nonprofit organizations in New York State that own dogs must still license them, just like any other dog owner. New York State law requires all dogs 4 months of age or older to be licensed, regardless of whether they are owned by a non-profit or a profit. So hopefully that will help you understand. It is 4 months of age. So there is one town in Wyoming County, and that's the town of Warsaw, that says, even though the state says 4 months, we're allowing them to have them unlicensed until they're 6 months, because a lot of people neuter before that 6 month thing. So they do that, and so we don't mess with that. Whatever the town has put into play, I work with. So, another question I have is, if you operate a dog sanctuary in New York State, are you exempt from dog licensing? The answer is no. Operating a dog sanctuary in New York State does not automatically exempt you from dog licensing requirements. While some entitles like shelters or entities like shelters and rescues are required to be licensed, individual dogs residing in a sanctuary, including those owned by the sanctuary itself, generally still should be licensed. So if those are questions some of you had, or you're worried about something,
Should be or must be?
must be licensed at
Okay,
4
because
months
you
of
said
age.
should, there's a difference, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Still need to be licensed.
Okay.
So I don't know if that helps you with some of your questions or anxieties you have about this new law. Your Bennington law, other than a limit, they're very workable laws. I see them happening everywhere in our county, and I actually have not seen there be a problem. So, I'm not sure. The barking law, if you'd like me to read the Attica barking law.
Please do.
Okay, I would love to, because that is pretty good, and been a tough one for me to deal with it.
That's Attica?
Attica, which is your bordering town, which makes it a little easier to, let me find it. I brought all the county laws here, villages and towns. Barking and howling dogs, town of Attica. Here we go. A, No person shall keep or harbor a dog which howls or barks in violation of this section. And it has one, it shall constitute a violation of this section if the howling or barking occurs continuously and is audible beyond the property line of the premises of which the dog is located. I'm just gonna read this and you can ask me questions, okay? 1, for more than 5 minutes between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. 2, for more than 15 minutes between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. There's same thing. 3, for a shorter duration that's cited above, but on more than 5 occasions within a given 10-day period to attest to the complaints of 2 or more separate properties. So when you get a complaint, I can't just go on one complaint, there would have to be 2 people complaining, and it would have to be within that time frame for shorter duration cited above, but not on more than 5 occasions, so it has to be over 5 times that they've counted the dogs are barking for that length of time, and 2 property owners have to say it, 2 neighboring people. It shall be a defense on such violations, the owner of the dog proves by a preponderance of the evidence that the only reason the dog is howling or barking was that the dog was being provoked by a person, or was otherwise being incited, or was acting as a guard dog, hearing dog, service dog, or police dog. So those are exemptions. So if somebody's out there giving them a hard time, or there's someone right up against the fence line just provoking the dog, that's not gonna fly. It's just not gonna fly. So basically, in order to abate the nuisance created by a dog howling or barking in violation of this section, dog control officers may enter the yard, which I will never do, and may seize any such dog, which I would never do, where the violation is occurring and the officer is unable, if the officer is unable to contact the dog owner. So I have to tell you, one time I sat for 8 hours waiting for the owner to come because I was not gonna take their dog off their property. So we just don't do that.
Without a court order.
I've never taken the dog.
Without a court order.
Yeah, without a court order. It has to be in order to seize or I'm not picking it up if it's something on a complaint. So.
That's a barking or howling dog?
Can I ask what that's like for you to try to enforce?
Well, people are not happy, you know, they want it over, they don't wanna hear the barking, and it's long days, you know, my average week is about, my average week can be 60 to 70 hours, so.
People going 100+ miles an hour up and down my road.
Yes.
Ms. Goodell, I have a question if I may.
Yes.
Just because I know you're saying,
I'm sorry, did you state your name?
yes ma'am,
Okay.
my name's Matt. Do you want my last name?
Yeah.
Albert?
Okay.
Okay, and I run a sanctuary here in town, and I know the law, I also practice law. So it's one thing you could say, well, this is what the law is. I'm gonna read straight from the statute, and it talks about who does not need to license dogs, and it talks about societies for the prevention of cruelty to animals, which we are not, duly incorporated humane societies, which we are not, or a duly incorporated dog protective association. Well, we keep them from getting killed, so if you come to our property, I think you could see by the work we do day in and day out, nobody protects dogs, you know, to the extent that we do. So we absolutely constitute a dog protective association, as would All-Star Rescue. Rescues are dog protective associations. So Ag and Markets, you know, who are not attorneys in and of themselves, might be misleading, but as far as I'm concerned, this statute is black and white. And dog protective associations, which we are exempt from having a license or dog. It's not a big deal. I pay the X amount of dollars to license. I don't care.
And all your dogs are neutered, so it's the cheapest.
Exactly, so it's not as if it's something that I'm like opposed to from a
Right.
financial standpoint, but I mean, if the laws, I don't like when, if the law is telling me I don't have to do something, I'm not gonna do it just because someone else is telling me to do it. And that's part of just being an
I
American
printed
as
this
much as.
today, so if, you know, I'm sure there are exemptions to some of these, maybe your declaration of your organization would make Egg and Marcus say this guy's okay. I'm just telling you what I've been told through
I
Egg and
understand,
Marcus.
I understand that.
And I'm,
And I'm not trying to be aggressive towards you, and I hope it didn't.
no,
come across.
I'm just being honest with you, as far as.
What statute were you referring
It's
to?
109 of Ag and Markets, and it's right up, I think it's A.
And the laws are changing, as of the 15th of December of this year.
It is, it's 109A.
And you referred to your organization as a dog
Yeah, I mean, it's a broad term, a duly incorporated dog protective association.
Dog Protective
And
Association?
anyone who works in animal welfare doesn't go around, hey, I'm a dog, it's a rescue or a sanctuary, but this is the words that they use. And I would say that's an umbrella for any not-for-profit that's incorporated, whether that's a rescue, sanctuary, whatever the case may be.
So before I would be doing any ticketing or any, coming down on any unit of any kind that does that, I would definitely be connecting you with one of our inspectors through Eggs and Market, and you can figure it out, and they can tell me.
Sure.
Yes, he has to, or no, he doesn't. Especially you have a large organization, a lot of people, and it's very well done, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth with them before, and they're saying, oh, well, you're not a dog. The next thing, who is? What is a Dog Protective Association? And then they circle back to, well, the SPCA, and then I say, no, that's already in here as a Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And then they're stumped, and they say, oh, well, I don't know, this is just what we tell people, and that's
They
what we end up.
don't, do you know if they have a definition for a dog
There's-
protective agency?
It's not defined by Ag and Markets, no.
That's probably why they don't have an answer.
Exactly, and it's frustrating
Yeah,
to me, because.
so when I actually called there, they had to hook me up with a lawyer. Our inspectors are all, a lot of them are new, and they said, well, we have our legal lawyer, and download this, download that, and I'm like, because I did want to come in with some answers. for
Sure,
you.
and I
And
understand.
the one that I was the most desiring was if a dog's been deemed, because of your situation, you
Right.
take dogs from all over the country, if they're deemed dangerous prior to coming into New York State, in another state.
Right,
Honestly, I did not know the answer to that, and they are not then considered dangerous here. And
yeah,
I like that. I mean, to be honest with you, I realize there's a lot of concern about the dogs you harbor there. But at the same time, New York State does cover New York State, and they're not gonna look at what a judge in California is gonna observe and decide on a dog, and they wanna make their own mind up in their own court, right here. That's what you have judges for. So. And I've been doing dangerous dog complaints in Bennington for a long time, and there's not enough people or uprising of any kind. I don't seize dogs,
right.
and euthanizing dogs. Gosh, I've been doing this a long enough time that I've seen the laws evolve, where if a dog has been deemed dangerous years ago, you either won the case or you lost the case. If you won the case, the sad part is the dog was put down. Now, I hated winning because lots of times it's just a owner's mistake or neglect, bad training, not being neutered, whatever that caused them to be a guard dog. But the law changed, I'm guessing about 2006, where actually the judge has the right to choose how that person can keep the dog, which sometimes just means neuter, microchip, license, letting the town clerk know that you're harboring a dangerous dog. Then there's a whole list of check marks that they can do, and some of them are, they have to be on a runner, they have to be in an enclosure when they're outside. If they're not gonna be outside, you have to have someone 21 years or older walking it, so you don't have a 6-year-old walking a dog that's already attacked somebody. So, yeah, and it's all been very well. You have good judges up here. Actually, all the county judges are good. Their whole concern is the safety of the community. They wanna make sure the community is safe. We love dogs, but let's face it, dog, human, judge has to say, what do we gotta do here, you know? Yeah.
Could you just tell me what the definition of a dangerous animal
I'm
is?
sorry, could you,
Oh, I'm so
Your
sorry.
name? Your
Oh,
name?
yeah, Lisa,
your last name?
Kate, yeah, Kate.
Are you looking for that definition as it's defined under agriculture and markets law or under the local law?
Should be the same.
They're very similar.
It should be the same.
I would like the one that would be used in the town.
That if it's gonna go through me, it's gonna be used from Ag and Markets. So the law actually at some point said, if a farmer thinks that a dog is worrying his sheep, it could be considered a danger. Could be considered a dangerous dog. So if a dog chases after somebody, comes out, attacks their dog, even if the dog's not killed or hurt or injured, and they feel threatened by that dog, or it's attacking other dogs, they could be deemed a dangerous dog. And actually, what I do is I listen to what's going on, and I'm like the conduit. I have no opinion whether it's dangerous or not, but I have to be able to present the case to the judge in a matter-of-fact way so he understands. And nothing is anonymous, so those of you who think there's anonymous complaints that go on, they don't. I do not work off anonymous complaints. If they're not willing to tell me who they are, or fill out a form and get it notarized, it's not going to court with me. Because they could be saying anything they would like to say. So basically, that's what, if you feel threatened in any way, you can do that. So how I start when I have a complaint, say you're going to your mailbox and the German Shepherd just darts out all the time, he's scaring you. Get to the point where you're getting it from your car because you're scared. Then, once the complaint comes in, I go to that person and I say, do you know what your dog does when he's coming up that driveway after that person? Well, most of the time they don't realize what's going on. And once we get to that point, the complainant usually says, let's see where this goes. If it continues to happen, then we have to go to court. But we try really hard. While I'm there, I check on the license. I tell them about the law. I tell them what a dangerous dog could become for them, how they may have to harbor it. Do you want your dog to have to go under those kind of restrictions? And usually we straighten it out. I mean, I probably get in Bennington maybe 10 calls a year that we straighten out. I'm doing a case right now in Bennington. We're coming to court on a dangerous dog complaint.
Hey, my name's Tom Reeder. I live here in Bennington.
What was your
I have a
what was your
question for
last
you.
name? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Reeder.
Spell it for me.
No. So, question. You've been doing this for 30 years. Do we need these new, I mean, we have laws in place. In your opinion, what on here do you think that we need to have now that we don't already have in place?
I think the town of Bennington needed to upgrade and make sure that their definitions were put into place. They also want a limit on, they want to be able to make sure that the number of dogs on a piece of property, those dogs are being kept in a considerate way. I'll give you an example. In the town of, we'll get to, I'm not ignoring you, ma'am. In the town of Gainesville, from my shelter, if you went a half a mile up the road, somebody brought 29 dogs into their very small property, small pens, stacked them on
All
top.
right, but
One dog
that's
got
one
loose.
specific thing, and I agree with you on that.
Right.
But
So-
there's a lot more. All right, so that's one issue. But now, if I live 300 feet off the road, we can't get Spectrum, it's not available, dirt road.
Yeah.
My dogs are trained to bark. I have a box out front. They're trained to bark if somebody pulls in my driveway.
Yeah.
So now if an Amazon comes in and my dog barks aggressively, like this says, first offense, it could be 15 days in jail.
Well,
That's, I mean, I train my dogs to do that. I have a sign, packages here. I have Amazon drivers live on, they'll just park and take breaks like in front of my house or area. My dog, I have 2 German Shepherds, they're not leashed. They don't leave, you know, they're in my permanent, but if somebody comes in, I have them trained to bark.
Well, barking
I
is
can't
one,
get ADT, I don't
barking
have,
is one thing. I mean, who
well,
on your
aggressive
road?
barking is out here.
But who on your?
yeah, well, hold on, this is what it says. Let's read straight from the
Sir,
statute.
excuse me, people, let the.
Yeah, I just
So,
experienced
the Amazon driver's not gonna call me and say, I delivered a package, the dogs are barking at me. Now, if they threaten him, it doesn't matter where, you're the owner of the dog, it doesn't matter where on your property.
But I don't want him on my property.
Well, then you have to work out something with how your packages are
Well, we
delivered.
do, but
Okay.
if he comes onto my property anyway and barks at him, complains, then
For the
I,
barking, I'm just gonna
It's
call you,
aggressive.
I'm just gonna call you up or I'll find out your address and stop and say, hey, Amazon.
well, that
put a
doesn't say
complaint.
that here,
Oh.
it says it's a misdemeanor and first offense.
This is what it says, straight up. It
Yeah.
says, no dog shall be allowed to bark or howl. Forget about aggressive. when said barking is audible from beyond the property line of the owner's residence. Think about what that means.
And I
You're
just-
walking down the street, okay? His dog is in the window in his own house, a little poodle, and he goes yip, yip, and you hear it. That's beyond the property line. Boom, Miss Goodell, you're guilty of a misdemeanor. You're, I don't know, you're a
So
little
dogs-
Yorkie.
No, I
It's-
have two
no,
German
no,
shepherds.
exactly, so
and they're trained
this is criminalizing dog ownership, let's be serious. If you actually read the language here, I'm not exaggerating. It's
But I agree.
criminalizing dog ownership.
I agree with the 26 dogs, if you're not licensed, I mean, yeah, and, you know, if your dog bites somebody, it makes sense. But some of the stuff in
Well, number
here,
one, your example you used, if a dog's barking indoors, I can't do anything about it.
But the law says otherwise, that's our
So I
problem,
would tell
not
the
with you.
complainant, it's indoors, there's a wall between
But
it. I'm
it's-
But
sorry,
that's
I'm
not what this
that's
says.
what you would say, if she's gonna retire next year, or call in
It
sick.
could be weaponized is the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's not
Well, I
clear.
mean, this is why, if we can just talk for just a second before you get all upset. This is a reason why they're doing this. If there's wording in there that you would like to have changed,
Oh, yeah.
then they will look at it and consider what your complaint
I mean,
is.
Beck, was there any other, like, so we have laws in position, you've been doing this a long time. I get the 26 dogs, I mean, that's, makes 100%. Is there, like, all this other stuff, is this,
Yeah, well, a lot of it you already have
it's
in your
already
law.
in play, right?
You
Yeah,
already have it in your law already.
right, except
Exactly.
the, except the misdemeanor, so we really don't need a lot of this, because it's
Well, they
already.
just upgraded everything and added what they wanted in the town of Bennington. I'm not,
Yeah, you're just here,
yeah,
right.
so, ma'am, you've been.
My name is Rebecca Laware, and I live on Maxon Road. And Section 123 of the Ag and Markets Law, Chapter 69, Article 7, addresses dangerous dogs. And it's quite lengthy, not a paragraph that is addressed in the town laws that you're trying to adopt. It also stipulates that you can't just be arrested for a misdemeanor on any given thing. It has to be a dangerous dog, which is stipulated. And there's a civil violation for the first offense if you're, found guilty. And then if it's a second offense with a dangerous dog that has been documented, then it's an A misdemeanor. But the wording in here is completely backwards and it overreaches everything.
It criminalizes everything.
You're taking notes
And I would
here?
like to just.
Oh, I have that. I already have that.
Is this not the lawyer?
Yep, and he has it, I'm sure, but.
I am very familiar.
So you're not gonna accept that, or you go?
But you
I'm
know
gonna
that
take
this
it, but-
law, no?
What's
And
that?
also-
Me personally, no, I did
I
not.
haven't finished
You know
yet.
this. How did you allow them to do
I'm
that?
sorry, I'm sorry.
I
Who
have
wants this
also-
thing?
This
Let's try.
woman is still speaking.
Ag and Markets Law also stipulates
They
right
work
down
for us,
the order
right?
how to do these laws. It will help you set these laws in effect, how to get a dog control officer. That's section 113 of the Ag and Markets Law, also chapter 69, article 7, also quite lengthy. And it goes right down in order, It tells you exactly how to do it. The state will help you, it's out there. In 3 hours today, I found 4 different websites that got all the information that I needed. And also, every article is on animallaw.info. If you look at it, it will tell you, will condense every single animal law in New York State down to your town, and then you can hyperlink everything. Even the article you're talking about, and the article he's talking about. So I wonder why we're just nitpicking and piecemealing all of the law that's you're trying to implement, when it's not even like correct. The definitions in the Ag and Markets Law are quite lengthy. You've got like 4 of them. It's just, it's following how it's done. And the commissioner of the Ag and Markets Law is also allowed to come in and ensure that you're doing it in a way that is in accordance with the laws, that is also good for the nature, also good for the safety of the people. So we have our options as well. And I'd like to ask you to be prudent about those A misdemeanors, because you're opening yourself up for quite a big deal if you arrest somebody for a misdemeanor when it's just a civil violation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So basically, they can look at this danger dog, do some chopping on it, it basically can say.
I can give you all the information. I printed it out, and also
Yeah.
from Mark Pryor.
So we can take a look at that.
Okay.
And they can look.
Okay.
Yeah, you s-
Your name?
Wayne Fenton, F-E-N-T-O-N. It's just more a little bit, it has really nothing to do with you. You're just here to answer questions regarding what you do for the job. Mine's more for the document itself. The town board handed out this 7-page document. So there's some contradictions here. Like I said, on page 4, paragraph labeled C, it says misdemeanor for dangerous dogs first offense, and Ag and Market says don't do that, it's a civil offense. Then it's a misdemeanor. Then it's a misdemeanor, and it doesn't specify A, B, or classify them. And then when we go over to page, under enforcement, page 5, with the exception of dangerous dog, everyone's guilty of a misdemeanor. Again, that's a crime, that's a fingerprintable, bookable offense. The cops would have to be involved with that. The district attorney's office would have to prosecute that, right, Mr. Attorney?
That is correct.
Okay.
That
Did you read
just-
this? Did you see the contradictions? You got misdemeanors flared all over where misdemeanors don't apply.
And actually, that's something that we had discussed, that I had discussed with the
Sounds like
board.
an oversight.
Well,
Because at the
I don't
very
agree.
end-
Excuse me, I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
And that's something that I had discussed with the board prior to the meeting tonight,
Yeah,
so.
the document's deficient, right? Sir?
Yes.
The document is very deficient in a very, very dangerous way.
You're referring to section 10, correct? Is
Find the
it,
page number, you're writing down.
well, section 10 is penalties for offenses, and then you're comparing it to section 6.
Which is the same thing.
Which is the same thing.
Correct.
Misdemeanor for everything, dog bark misdemeanor, fingerprint booking, name to the paper, criminal record, it's a misdemeanor. DWI is a
They can put
misdemeanor.
you in jail.
So this was very poorly thought out by the legal department and or the town board. But I'll give you now, on page 6, you got enforcement, everybody be treated as a violation.
Exactly.
Per the penal law. And that's what we expected it to be, but you slam the word misdemeanor around, they get people's hackles up, they don't wanna get fingerprinted and booked. All misdemeanors are fingerprintable and booked, which means the police, and you think the state police are gonna come to Bennington to lock you up because you dog park? I think the lawyer needs to look it over, get out the marker and say, no more misdemeanors. Do what you want with a fine, but make sure. Ag Market says very explicitly, I'm not sure, does the commissioner, once the town adopts these laws, does the commissioner have to make sure they're okay? Does the state commissioner of Ag and Markets have to make sure they're okay before they're officially implemented? Is that true, yes or no?
I think if there's a complaint filed on it, once a law's passed, then it could be.
Like somebody said, hey, this law is poorly written. They-
You said
but-
you contacted them, who did you
Yeah.
contact at the commissioner's office?
Oh, I just
Who is
talked
the
to,
commissioner, do you know the name of the commissioner?
I do.
I do. Anybody else know that?
I just know my inspectors.
I
who
have
come
his
to the
phone number
shop.
and email, and I've already emailed.
But anyways, it's really shoddy. This town board, you pay money to a lawyer, you put this out with people with a little bit of legal training, look at this and go, holy crap. You can't put misdemeanor in here. That's a big freaking deal. We did call the DA's office and said, hey, we're not gonna comment until they propose it. If you're gonna wanna criminalize all this crap, you gotta get on board with the DA, because they're the ones carrying the ball. He's prosecuting it, no one up there prosecuting it, the DA's are. They're gonna say, wait a minute, this law is constitutionally unsound. It's legally deficient. Okay, don't pass out crap until it's ready to go down the chute, all right? Work it out with competent lawyers.
I mean, one other thing that I will say is, guys, this is our first public hearing. This is draft 1. We just went through 12
On
draft.
the agenda that you're gonna vote on it when we
It
leave.
says you're gonna adopt it tonight.
Says we're
You're
voting on
voting
it.
on it, so you're full of crap.
I would, again, I'm not gonna commit to the board's position. I don't think there's a vote that's gonna happen
With
tonight.
which I was referring to, I'm gonna be giving to you on page.
It looks like you guys are trying to get away with
If you take a dog and you're
But
still
I'm
sheltered
just
at
saying
the Wyoming
that we
County
might not
Animal
be.
Control Shelter,
But
why do we have to have our own dog?
No, that you can't slam this.
I don't understand
violation.
It says,
We're having a
did you
public
read it?
hearing
It says
here.
that if you're
Well, don't
taking
forget
dogs
what I
from
said,
someone,
because you
that they're going to be sheltered
We're
at the
having a
Wyoming
public
County
hearing. We want
Animal
to
Control
allow
Shelter,
everyone an
which you are the Wyoming County
Yeah,
Animal
yeah.
Control.
Are there
Why do we need a dog if that's the case? Tell me explicitly.
All towns have laws. It just,
No, not all towns, and, not like this.
Okay,
well, maybe not like this, but there is a law.
this gentleman in the back,
Yes.
and your name, please?
Yep, Scott Felzel, EHS to have a relationship. If you want any other information about me, just ask her.
You refer to yourself as you run the Wyoming County Shelter, right? Where you take dogs that you pick up, is that correct?
Yeah,
Are those dogs licensed?
they can't leave our shelter until they are.
But, so are they licensed currently?
When I pick them up, I don't know, they're not tagged.
Well,
don't even-
are you responsible for licensing those dogs that you are, by your words, harboring?
Our
Yes or no?
municipal shelter is exempt from having anything in
So
that
how come
building
you're
licensed.
exempt, but we're not?
In New York State, if you have a dog that's 4 months or older, you have to
Okay.
license it. That's a state law,
Right,
not
so are your
Bennington
dogs
law.
licensed?
Huh?
Are your dogs licensed?
My
You're
own personal
technically-
dogs?
No, in the shelter, you technically are.
They don't leave until they are.
You're not answering my question.
There's no dogs at our
Are they
shelter.
of any month then?
There's no dogs at our shelter that are licensed to Wyoming County.
Then why are they in Wyoming County?
Thank you.
Because we run the shelter and that's where dogs are. It's a safe haven until the owners pick it up.
My house is a safe haven. You've been to my house. Do my dogs look neglected?
Sir, I really don't remember
All right,
who you
I
are.
No, I'm asking a question and I don't think,
I'm
would
sorry.
everybody agree that I haven't gotten the answer?
Municipal shelters are exempt from having to license dogs. We
So you
are,
enforce a law that you don't have to follow.
I enforce, that owned by people.
So you're a hypocrite.
I'm not the owner of the dog. We're harboring
No,
until
but they are technically
until
under
we
your
find,
care.
until we find the
As the dog
owner.
control officer, they are under your care. You are responsible for their well-being.
You can't license a dog that doesn't belong to you.
Is that
Excuse
correct?
me, and stop.
I'm asking
This
a question.
is not a question pertaining to the law.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
because he's
It
a
100%
sanctuary,
is.
and he doesn't own the dogs, the sanctuary owns the dogs, it's the same
Yeah.
exact thing, it's a safe haven for those dogs to be at. I have dogs that are a safe haven, it's the same exact thing, but she doesn't have to do it. It
So-
is, that is
Your
the
name,
exact same thing.
sorry, your name, please?
Alicia Barron.
I should finish with my wife now. Keep getting that. So, where are we at with this?
Okay.
We're
All right.
just avoiding the
Your
question.
comments have been noted.
Yeah, I know, that's why I said
Just
it.
got hammered.
No, this was a blatant attack at two organizations by a handful of people that have nothing better to do with their time. I leave now because I have better things to do.
Okay.
I'll see you.
Sorry.
You don't
This
have to
woman
target
was
me.
asked-
Oh, stop it.
I'm Kate Sears. Yes.
I'm not sorry.
So, I have a couple things that I'm totally confused with and would like to bring up with this. I live, right inside Colesville. We're the big red house right before you get to church. Okay? It is a single-family home with an in-law apartment. My parents have a dog. Okay, they have a dog. I have 2 active service dogs and a retiring service dog. That makes 4 dogs in our home. So, does this make any provisions for service dogs, ADA compliance? And then, when the next service dog goes to retire and we have to replace her, what do? Do we just put her down because she's still got another 4 years, but she can't work? You know, what do we do with something like that? That's not fair to the dog,
No,
where they've given their
so-
life.
The ag and market law says you have to have a license, but there's no fee. Your dog would be licensed as a service dog.
Right, I understand
So
that,
as
but
far as-
according to this, we're only
The zoning
allowed,
with so many, yeah.
we're only allowed 3 dogs. Now,
So-
I can see your point on the 26 dogs, but to me, that falls under animal cruelty, which is
Could.
a
It
total
could.
other offense, because the animals are not being cared for properly if they're in little crates.
I was using it
You
as
know.
an example of how many dogs were on a piece of property
Okay,
with a limit, without having them gone through the special use permit. I was using it as an example.
Okay, however, the trainer we use for testing out our service dogs has 33 dogs on his property because he is training them for veterans. Okay? They are not all licensed because they're like you, they're on their way to someplace else. But he does have his own personal service dogs. And you are allowed more than one service dog to do different tasks. You can have one that has, okay, for example, my daughter's alerts her for a heart condition. But that's all he does, is alert her for her heart condition. So if you have somebody who's deaf and has a heart condition, they can have one that is a hearing dog that lets you know when the phone's ringing or there's somebody at the door.
Sure.
Okay, now, that being said, that you can have more than one. Okay, mine, Judge here, he's still in training. He just turned 2 years old. He has a few different jobs. Yes, John. Yes, I say that. Okay, I don't walk very well. So he is a balance and bracing dog, which means if I start getting tipsy, he pushes back on me so that I don't fall down. However, it's okay, buddy. You don't have to work right now. Okay, so if I need help getting up, I tell him brace, Judge brace, and I use him to stand up. He does other things. All right, Judge. He does not let people come too close to me. He does not like strangers touching him. I don't like strangers touching me, which I'm fine with him not liking strangers. Okay, so what's he going to do? He's going to alert them. How's he going to alert them? He's a German Shepherd. He's going to do a low growl, or he's going to bark.
He's gonna be aggressive about it.
Well, not necessarily, not necessarily. But because he's a German Shepherd, people are going to assume that it's aggressive because he's a big dog.
I think that that's a provocation.
I do, but I don't have to. He does not have to wear any of this to be a service dog. You know?
And that communicates to you that that's what he is, we don't want to pet it.
Just a couple, so I would,
Law excludes service dogs. It does, yeah. It says
well, let me ask this though. Let me ask this. Do you think that it would be an appropriate remedy to say that even retired service dogs, once they're no longer acting in the service capacity, also do not count towards that 4-dog limit?
Absolutely, because the dog doesn't know it's retired.
Could I get your name again as well, ma'am?
Kate Sears. You know, how do I communicate to my black lab that she's retired and she's not working anymore? I don't. You know, how do I communicate to him when it's that time that he's retired? He's going to continue to alert me that there's people at the door, that there's somebody in our backyard, and we have had town officials cutting through our backyard because we butt up to the old fire hall. And they shouldn't be there, okay? He knows the property line. He doesn't leave our yard. However, if there is somebody walking through our yard to get to someplace else, he's most definitely gonna go up to them and say, you are not supposed to be here. He's never bitten anybody, he's never jumped on anybody, but again, people are gonna take it as aggression. Now, here's the other catch to that. I'm a teacher. If I get convicted because he barked or growled at somebody doing his job,
Yeah, and lose your job.
I'm gonna lose my job.
So it's obvious that this law needs some tweaking. That's actually what this is all about. It's obvious. And I think you're maybe critical of the board, but I truly think they want to just make it a safe community and they want to outline and update this law. And there are things we put in our laws that sometimes we look back and go, whoa, maybe we went a little over them and we put the wording wrong. So they will address it, I'm sure.
But Ms. Goodell, you just said everything's going smooth, you've got like 10 cases a year, and you sort it all out without taking it to court. So why do we have this new 7-page monstrosity of a law? There's no need for it, that's the point.
And what do you do for the farms who have working dogs? They have cattle dogs, they have sheep
She's
dogs.
talking, Elaine.
What do you do for those farms? They have the cattle dogs, the
Yeah,
sheep
there's
dogs,
three minute limit too, and
and a home.
35.
It's not just about you and your dogs.
Right.
We have to be nice to each other here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
there's nobody here that doesn't love.
raised her hand.
She raised her hand and she's talking, so shut up. All right.
Who are
Okay.
you to talk to her like
All
that?
right. Okay.
You know what, that's
So-
fine, let
so
him
you
say his
want-
piece.
You want us, the farm animal, or farm working?
Well, I mean, no, I mean, how, we're a rural community, so how can you limit the amount of dogs? I understand the mistreated, way too many hoarding animals, but that falls under a different law. That does not